Welcome, fair people of YouTube. Today I bring you first part of Rise of Bahamut cards evaluation. We will evaluate every single card that has been revealed till now, and we'll move from in the same order they were revealed. So first reveal from legendary to bronze, and then second reveal. Let's start with the Forestcraft White Wolf of Eldwood. It's a legendary card. 8 mana 4/4 rush, so nothing crazy. But last words, randomly put one of the highest cost Forestcraft card, excluding White Wolf of Eldwood, from your deck into your hand at the start of your next turn. Change its cost to 0. So definitely a combo card, right? You draw a card, specific card let's say, and you change its cost to 0. Is it good? It's crazy good. Let's put it that way. Why? Because you simply accelerate insane amount of mana. Like 8 mana 4/4 rush is nothing crazy, but it's good enough, I would say. The downsides, the wolf has to die, so you need to set up a good trade. But in Forest, when you spam, let's say you spam your 1/1s on turn 7, you probably will set up a good trade on turn 8 with so many 1/1s on the field. And what cards do you draw with this card? So Forestcraft cards, so you cannot draw Satan, you will not get turn 9 Satan. Well, turn 9 Satan is nothing crazy, but turn 9 0 mana Satan maybe would be good, but you cannot get it. You will most of the times get the two cards that came to our minds immediately is Rose Queen and Silverbolt. I want to disappoint you if you are a fan of Rose Queen as I am, but Rose Queen is not good with the wolf. She's expensive, sure. You need to draw her to unleash her combo, sure. So the card seems to be good, but do you really need to rely on additional 3 copies of fetch to get your Rose Queen, or is your draw enough? Like, I play Rose Queen deck right now a lot, and my draw engine is only Altered Fate. I am never too late with the Rose Queen, I draw her every single time. So I'm not sure if I need the wolf for it. Like, I may play 1 copy of wolf and 3 of Rose Queen, or, well, usually when you go on fetches, you play little bit of the card you need and then a lot of fetches for it. So like 1 Rose Queen, 3 wolves. But then again you have to put 2 Rose Queens, because sometimes 1 Rose Queen is not enough to finish the game and you need a second one. So 2 Rose Queens, 3 wolves, and suddenly you have 5 cards. That's 1/6 of your deck just for a Rose Queen. Some may say it's good because it thins out your deck and you are a combo deck, so that's good. But then again you need to fit your cards in the deck, and Altered Fate also thins out your deck a lot, even more than Wolf. So I would stick to the Altered Fate here. But what's the second point here is that Rose Queen is also 8 mana. So why play the Wolf on 8, risk that you won't get trade good enough to kill the Wolf and get the Rose Queen on 9 for 0, when you can just play the Rose Queen on 8. Sure, it doesn't have rush, so it's a bit worse versus aggro deck, but let's be honest, 8 mana 4/4 rush is also very bad versus aggro decks. Versus control decks, if you saved your evolution points, Rose Queen is actually stronger by 1/1 if you evolve her than White Wolf if you evolve it. So I would rather not play White Wolf in Rose Queen decks, because you just get her on turn 9 for 0 mana, you play her, sure, fun, and then you unleash the Thorn Burst for 12 damage. If you just played Rose Queen on 8, you still can Thorn Burst for 12 damage on 9, so I don't really see a reason to play the wolf here. But make sure to leave your opinion in the comments down below. The Silverbolt though is crazy good with the wolf. Like, that will probably be the strongest combo in the entire game. Like, it will probably beat D-Shift, to be honest. Because, let's see, how does the combo with Silverbolt work? On turn 9, you can play your Silverbolt like naturally, without any steroids. You can also play 0 mana Silverbolt you get exactly on turn 9 from the wolf you played on turn 8. So on turn 9 you can play 2 Silverbolts. If you played around them and have your hand full, you will have 18 damage phase from Silverbolts. Like, how crazy is that? Turn 9, 18 damage phase. The only thing you can compare to is Seraph. Seraph is turn 9 guaranteed kill. 18 damage is almost guaranteed kill. Like, only heal decks will actually survive this damage. You will definitely manage to sneak in 2 damage in early game with your minions, right? Let me quickly sip my water. Alright, so you play 3 silver balls and 3 wolves because you need to guarantee draw on the wolf in till turn 8, and you need to guarantee a draw on 1 silver ball till turn 9, and you also cannot draw all of your silver balls because then wolf will not fetch it and you won't get the dream 18 damage. Of course, sometimes it will happen that you will draw your 3 silver balls, maybe even in opening hand, but what's the difference in this or drawing 3 Otohime in your opening deck, right? And Otohime is very good. So that is definitely not a downside, that it's combo reliant. Combo is a valid strategy, especially in Shadowverse. So you build your deck with a lot of draw to draw your wolf. So probably again, Glimmering Wings, I would not go with Alter Fate because what if you draw both of your silver balls? That is highly possible. You cannot Alter Fate then, and it's a dead card, so probably also Alter Fate reduces your hand size and you don't want that when you are playing on silver balls. So probably Glimmering Wings and Wandering Elf Mages. Probably no Harvest Festival, the card is pretty bad after nerfs. Yeah, and you basically play your draw early, you sneak in 2 damage, after that you can play purely control unless you suspect your opponent will have some heal. You play then to control the board, to survive till turn 9 and build up your hand. On turn 8 you drop the wolf, you aim to have 7 cards on turn 8, I mean after playing wolf. Then on turn 9 you get draw plus the fetched card, which is hopefully Silver Bolt, like it is always Silver Bolt if you have it in your deck. You don't have any higher cost Forestcraft card, yet at least. And you play double Silver Bolt, 18 damage, you win the game. How easy is that to pull off? Probably very easy. Like Forestcraft has such an amazing draw engine and such an ease to fill up your hand with fairies that this combo is so easy to pull off. It's literally a piece of cake. It's literally a piece of cake. You can eat this combo. You can eat your opponents with this combo. You can do whatever you want with this combo. Nothing is stopping you when you have this combo. This is how crazy this combo is. So let's move on to the next card. We have Mastema from Blood. It's 5 mana, 6/6 gold with Bane. Stats are crazy. Does it have any downside? Can only attack the enemy leader and followers with ward. So you cannot trade it for your followers, for your opponent of followers that don't have ward. Is that a downside? It's actually not a downside. Like, who cares for your opponent followers when you have a 5 mana 6/6 that is going face every turn? Like, they will have to do everything to kill this, or it will literally kill him in 3 turns, because I assume you have some damage already on the board, right? Because you are playing an aggro deck after all when you play Mastema in your deck. So this is basically Beast Dominator without downside with Bane. Huh. Yeah, and Beast Dominator is a legendary and this is a gold. So I guess Beast Dominator is better because you get more vials for it. Yeah, I think it's still better to open Beast Dominator. Yeah, guys. Yeah, I'm sorry, but Mastema 0 out of 10. Beast Dominator is simply better. And for real, guys, this is a crazy card, but is it that crazy? Like, in vacuum, 10 out of 10. But we have to look at the game, because we are not just playing single cards in vacuum, we are playing the game, the entire game that is Shadowverse. And in Shadowverse, we have a very annoying spell that almost every deck plays right now, Dance of Death. It's also 5 mana, so Mastema always gets answered by Dance of Death. Yeah, you can say any 5-drop gets answered by Dance of Death, even any 10-drop gets answered by Dance of Death. And it's kind of true, but most of the cards, and, well, not really end. That's because most of the cards right now, because of that, most of the cards right now play immediate effects after 5 mana curve. So if you compare Fairy Beast, immediate heal, Cynthia, immediate attack boost, Tia, immediate board presence with Rush and Ward. But let's move out of the forest. For example, Otohime fills the board. Tsubaki kills something, is immune to Dance of Death because of stealth. What else? Dragon, Forte, Rushes, Storms even. Like everything above 5 mana plays around Dance of Death by being immediate impact cards. the only thing you play may be words, and even the words have some impact, like Front Guard's commander is actually a last word card, so even if you Dance of Death, it's still 2-3 that you have to get through. Yeah, so this card doesn't have immediate impact. Even if you evolve it, it can only kill ward targets, and usually when you evolve a minion, it kills the ward target anyway. So not really got that good in current meta. Maybe if Dance of Death gets a nerf and will be played less, then this card is simply crazy. The other way you can play this card is you play it by like playing around Dance of Death at the same time. So you don't mindlessly drop it on 5, you treat it more as a win condition somewhat. So you are looking at control version of Blood, when Mastema is something that your opponent has to kill. Like, control decks are not playing any Dance of Deaths usually, but they are playing different removal. So this usually will get 1-for-1 in control decks. If you evolve it, it maybe even get 2-for-1. But 2-for-1 is nothing crazy, like Themis is crazy that gets 5-for-1, right? So Mastema, not really that good in current meta, mostly because of Dance of Death. If you can avoid Dance of Death, if they do not draw it, Mastema will wreck their face. What is Mastema good versus? The Goblin Mount Demon. Mastema kills Goblin Mount Demon, even if it's evolved with Bane, it doesn't die from it. So you still keep the 6-1 after trading for evolved Goblin Mount Demon, or if you evolved it will be an 8-3. Banishable, yeah, but not everyone plays Heaven. Well, like right now when I am recording this video, I could safely say that everyone plays Heaven. But yeah. So total score maybe 7 out of 10. If we didn't have Dance of Death right now, it would probably be 9 out of 10, same as Wolf. But Dance of Death just simply shaped the meta, and the meta is not favoring Mastema right now. Next card. We have Pact with the Nether God, Shadowcraft, 3 mana gold spell, destroy an enemy follower with 4 or less defense. So if you look at Deathbrand targets only 3 or less, but has Necromancy that can target 4 or more. And Enchant 7, so Enchant is something new, we haven't seen that before. Basically, if you have the number of PP that is displayed next to the Enchant word, you pay this number instead of your basic cost and gain additional effect that is listed after the Enchant effect. In this case, you will summon a Pluto, and basically Pluto will absorb the stats of the targeted minion that died. So, how can you read this spell? Is basically 7 mana Pluto that is restricted to 4 defense or less targets, with the option to be played for 3 mana, but then you get no minion. Is 3 mana destroy follower with 4 or less defense good? Let's generally look at it as 3 mana for damage. Is 3 mana for damage crazy? Our example of 3 mana for damage is Witch Bolt. Witch Bolt is 3 mana for damage with another ability that draws you a card if you have evolved follower. So this is 3 mana, deal 4 damage, with additional ability summon Pluto that absorbs the stats if you pay 4 more mana. So this is pretty comparable to Witch Bolt. But is Witch Bolt played? Actually, it's not. It's only in some decks that really need it, like Control Deathcraft with a lot of sigils. So is Pact with the Nether God any better than Witch Bolt? If it's not better than Witch Bolt, it will not be played. Right? Unless it's different class, you can also look at that. Different class may need different cards. So is it any better in Shadow? No, because Shadow is not interested in this kind of removal. Shadow is mostly aggressive class, and Shadow is happy with its Necromancy. Like, Enchant is not really good in Shadow, I would say, unless Enchant has Necromancy ability in it. That would be pretty good. But right now, you rather gain tempo from Necromancy instead of losing tempo from Enchants, because Enchants will usually lose you tempo by spending additional mana for not so great effects. Like, it's more of an arena effect. When you don't really need that tempo, you can spend it to gain more value. Enchant basically trades you tempo for value, which is not bad in some decks, but Shadow is not a class that would benefit from it in my opinion. If you disagree, of course, you can leave a comment. I'm open to any discussion, guys, so keep the comments coming. I will answer to every single one of them. Total score of this card, 4 out of 10, I would say. It will probably not be played in Constructed, it will be heavily picked in Arena, but then again in Arena you really hope for something better like Cerberus or Lord of the Flies. But if you see this in Arena with no better option on the other side, you definitely pick it. It's a very solid Arena card. Next up, we have Breath of the Salamander, gold spare for Dragoncraft. For 2 mana, you deal 3 damage to an enemy follower. How good is that? It's actually very good. Because, you see, Dragoncraft is a class that is based and dependent on mana acceleration. That's how Dragoncraft wins, by basically outvaluing your mana over opponent mana. You do that by, of course, ramping your mana early with Dragon Oracle or Dragon Emissary or stuff like that, or Ayala, but things people tend to not notice is that Blazing Breath is also a mana acceleration card, because for 1 mana you deal with 2-drop or even a 3-drop, and the same goes for the Breath of Salamander. For 2 mana you deal with 3-drop or even a 4-drop, so you gain mana by this play. But this card also has enchants we cannot miss, enchant 6, so if you have 6 play points, you will play it for 6 mana and then deal 2 additional damage to all enemy followers, which means the minion you targeted with this spell will take 3 plus 2 additional damage, total of 5, and the entire board will take, the rest of the board of your opponent will take 2 damage. So direct counter to Otohime, of course, but also direct counter to all the aggro decks. Like Forest, they play Fairy, Tia, trade their Tia for your Ivory Dragon. You play Breath of Salamander, you clear their board. So it will be played heavily. This is a great spell. I would give it a 10 out of 10, but I'm not so sure if Dragon actually needs removal right now. It really depends on how the meta is shaped. If we see more control decks, Dragon has a lot of possibility of controlling the board, with even Orb Dragon, which is outshined by Odin, but if you play 3 Odin and want more, you go for Orb Dragon. So yeah, I guess that's something for the poor Orb Dragon. But this is one of the most powerful tools. This beats Conflagration every single time. Unless you face like Amulet heavy deck with a lot of Tigers of Heavencraft. But yeah, let's give this card a 9 out of 10. Very solid now, 9 out of 10. Let's speed up a bit. Well, we are now discussing silvers and bronzes, so there is not really a lot of things I can say about those cards. Silver and bronzes tends to be very basic. So, Call of the Cocytus, I hope I'm reading that correctly. 5 mana neutral spell, which destroys an enemy follower. We already seen that multiple times, right? 5 mana, kill something with additional effect, like Dance of Death, Execution, Banishing Light, or Acolyte's Light, I mean. Yeah, a lot of examples. Onslaught, Savage Hunt. There is. I could go on, but there is no point in that. Basically, our additional effect on this card is pay 3 additional mana, put a Servant of Darkness into your hand. So Servant of Darkness, of course, is 5 mana 13/13 that you get from Satan, or Prince of Darkness, as he is called now. And is that good? Is that a good card? My opinion is the same as most of the enchants card. So nothing constructed, very much in Arena. What this card says basically to you is, play me on 8, so spend your entire turn 8, killing 1 single unit, very bad versus aggro. You probably die if you try to play this card versus aggro. Okay versus control, I would say. Then turn 9, you have the option to play 13/13 for 5 mana, very bad versus aggro, 0 impact card versus aggro, and you are on turn 9, so you are close to death already. Versus control, probably gets removed anyway. Servant of Darkness is a card you don't want to draw when you play Satan deck. You want to draw every single card but Servant of Darkness. This is like the only downside of Satan. And after that, you attack with the 13/13 on turn 9. So, on turn 10 even. So, you play 3 turns to attack for, let's say 15. Let's say you have the evolution point. And 15 is the round number 3/4 of the, or 3/4 of the opponent HP. So you play 3 turns to set up the 3/4 burst of damage. Like Wolf with Silver Bolt does more in only 2 turns and starts on the same turn. So this is definitely not good. Like Dance of Death is strictly better than that. If you want to kill it with something, you play the Servant. So your condition is you have to leave turn 8 by killing a single unit. You have to leave turn 9 by playing a single unit that is 13/13, sure, but no impact unless you have the Guardian Sun or Leonidas Resolve, let's go crazy. And then on turn 9 you get your reward. Also, the Servant of Darkness needs to not be removed by Dance of Death or similar, like Themis. This will never happen. This will literally never happen. You will never get the 15 damage out of it, or even 13 outside of Arena. In Arena, this card is crazy. Look at the value for 5 mana or for 8, but don't count mana. Like, mana doesn't matter that much in Arena. What matters is value out of single card, because you have limited amount of good cards, and this is a very good card. For 1 card, you get 13/13 and you kill a unit. Sure, you play that over some turns, but it gives you place, it gives you options. It is definitely a great card on Arena. So, very low score for Constructed, like 2 out of 10. Very high score for Arena, like 8 out of 10. So altogether 10 out of 10, right? Not really, but yeah. Pretty good on Arena. Yeah, definitely pick it on Arena if you see it. Alright, next up we have Geld, Vice Captain, or Captain. 2 mana 2/2, Swordcraft Officer. So, pretty standard stat line, but his additional effect is actually very bad. It's Fanfare, gain +1, +0 and ward if you have a commander in play. Now this doesn't seem that bad, right? You get 2 mana 3 to ward and your only requirement is a commander in play. But why is it bad? Because it is actually pretty bad. First of all, it's a 2-drop. If you draw it early, you want to play it on 2, and it's literally worse Veteran Lancer because it's a 2 mana 2/2 without any effect if you play it strictly on 2. We don't have 1 mana commander. I guess if Frontline were commander, maybe something would happen, but Frontline is simply bad, so yeah. There's no point to cheese a deck just to get +1 and ward on your card. Like, don't do that, guys. Play some real cheese deck like Deathly Tyrant with Atomy instead. Yeah, and in late game, if you have a commander in play and you play this card, you get rewarded by +1 attack and ward. But does it matter? No, because like your opponent is playing, let's say, a 6/8 or something like that, and 1 damage out of 6/8, like it doesn't matter at all. Your opponent will simply Themis your board with this commander, with this officer on the board, or will just evolve over it with Dragon Warrior and shut it down with effect, or will just play, I don't know, Magic Missile and Angelic Snipe on it, or Angelic Barrage or double Angelic Barrage even. Like, this card is bad. Veteran Lancer is good simply because you play it on turn 2 and it wards you on turn 2. So no Fairy traits, no Stormer traits. Like, Veteran Lancer blocks your opponent turn 3. And this guy doesn't. This guy simply doesn't. So he's a nice amount of dust and somewhat good on Arena. Like, on Arena you always take a 2 mana 2/2, right? 2 mana 2/2 is good on Arena. So, but Dust Swordcraft, excuse me, really needs it. Like, they have enough 2-drops already to draft on Arena. So this might be even a nerf to Swordcraft on Arena because you get a worse 2/2 to draft as your silver. I'm not sure, guys. I don't like this card. It's not terrible, but I really don't like it. And it gets the score of 2 out of 10 again for me. It probably won't be played at all in Constructed. Let's move to bronzes now. We have Master Sage. 3 mana 1/2 for Heavencraft. That at the end of your turn, subtract 1 from your countdown of all allied amulets. So read it as 3 mana, reduce 1 from your countdown of the amulets, and deal 1 damage. Why? Because you play it. You of course cannot really attack with it on your first turn unless you evolve it, but evolution is a different thing, guys. So you play it, at the end of your turn it countdowns the amulets, and then on your opponent turn it dies to a trade. That's why it deals 1 damage, because something trades for it. If it leaves the turn, you get double countdown reduction, which is great, definitely. If you could stealth it, it would be great, definitely. But right now we don't have any stealth cards in Heavencraft, so it can't really work. And you need 2 conditions to make this card good. First of all, you need a heavy amulet deck, because you need at least 3 amulets to make this card better than Hallowed Dogma. And second condition is you actually need to have no better cards to count down the multiple amulets than this. So Skullfane is not better, because Skullfane is for 7 mana and this is turn 3. And Healing Prayer is probably better. I don't want to disappoint the lovers of this card, but Healing Prayer is most of the times better unless you are at full HP, your minions are at full HP and you are not playing Elena. Then Master Sage is better. So maybe strictly on turn 3 Master Sage is better, but then again on turn 3 you have top of... Well, if you really go crazy and you want to have 3 amulets on board on turn 3, you need to play triple Sacred Plea. And you are not happy with triple Sacred Plea because you will simply overdraw. You can always go with triple Bunny amulets, so the Hair of Illusion. That would be better. Maybe in Hair of Illusion actually this card might work. I will have to consider that, because if you play Hair of Illusion on 1 and then Master Sage on 3, the Master Sage is protected by the Hair of Illusion or the Dreamer Rabbit. The minion is Dreamer Rabbit actually. So maybe, but then again, the only deck the Hair of Illusion see plays in is PTP Heaven, and PTP Heaven is a lot of cheese. But yeah, I know some people who play PTP Heaven. Shout out to Luis the Panda. And he actually plays PTP Heaven with bunnies in it. So maybe I will talk to him about this card. Maybe he will use it, but yeah, again, I don't think this card is good. Definitely could be better as a 2/2 or something. Our last bronze card from this release is, this reveal, or spoiler, is Craig, Wizard of Mysteria. Runecraft minion for 2 mana, you get 2/2. With Fanfare, spell boost a follower in your hand 2 times. So the effect is pretty good, it's nothing crazy, but then again it's a 2 mana 2/2, so very standard stat line. The effects on those tend not to be very crazy. But spell boosting a follower 2 times is definitely better than gaining +1 and ward if you have a commander in play or in hand. No, it was in play. What do you target it with? What minions require spell boosting? First up we have Flame Destroyer, and second in the line is Runeblade Summoner. Definitely Runeblade Summoner is better out of those 2, because Flame Destroyer needs only 10 spell boosts, and you combo it with Dimension Shift. Before you count down or spell boost your Dimension Shift cost to 0, your Flame Destroyer will always be drawn and spell boosted to 0 also. So yeah, this is better on the Runeblade Summoner, that can be spell boosted up to 19 times. After that it's really pointless, because you one-shot your opponent anyway. We don't have any overheal mechanic in Shadowverse. So if you play Runeblade Summoner, this card is good. When do you play Runeblade Summoner? When the meta is more control heavy. So if we see this expansion to be successful and slow down the meta, we may see Runeblade Summoner return to, the favor. And then this card is actually good because it combats early game of your opponent with being 2 mana 2/2 that actually helps you in your late game line. So this is an early game card that boosts your late game. This is actually very good, and this could even be gold, I would say. Like, I wouldn't mind it being a gold. This is that good of a card, but only in specific conditions. We need the meta to change, and then this card will get an 8 out of 10. Like, nothing crazy, but because it's only a bronze, but definitely a very solid bronze card. Alright, and that basically covers the first reveal. Now we have the second reveal of cards, which we have freaking Bahamut. How crazy is that, guys? If you are not familiar with Shadowverse universe, the Bahamut is the strongest being like it destroys wards by you know, I don't know, wiggling his finger. He literally does that and the ward dies. So yeah, and if you want to know more about the Bahamut, search around the lore. There's a lot of information on Raid of the Bahamut, the previous game. And there is more information of Bahamut. Yeah, but let's move to the card. It's neutral legendary, 10 mana, so 10 mana legendaries tend to be terrible unless they have immediate impact. Like our only example of 10 mana card is Satan right now, and yeah, let's stick to Satan. I know there are more 10 mana cards, but let's stick to Satan. His power got unleashed only in Heaven and Dragon. Why? Because Heaven played Guardian Sun, which made the Satan have the ward, so it kind of immediate impact. Your opponent has to deal with it, or he cannot attack your face. And in Dragon, you basically ramped the Satan to cast it on turn 7 or 8. Like the 7 was the dream, the 8 was the usual time to cast the Satan. So Bahamut has immediate impact in his fanfare. Destroy all other followers and amulets. This is his power, guys. This is his power to destroy the world. Like, he doesn't simply care. He will kill everything around him. And is that good? Well, your entire board dies, but if you play 10 mana card, you are control deck and you don't care about your board that much. Like, you care only about your win condition, that can be Bahamut itself, or a spell, like, I don't know what, like Seraph. Yeah, this has synergy with Seraph, guys, because it destroys the Seraph one stage closer to winning the game. And it has some counter synergy in the deck you might want to put it in, like Guardian Sun will get destroyed by the Bahamut, so you will not get the taunt on Bahamut. There is no way to activate the taunt on Bahamut from Guardian Sun. But it also clears your opponent board. You will also clear your opponent last word amulets, so not that good in if you play against Heaven, but very good against every other class. And still, you can play around your opponent countdown amulets, like not a problem. So Bahamut has also a downside in that he cannot attack the enemy leader if 2 or more enemy followers are in play. So he is very easily taunted. Yeah, but if you play it in control deck, you probably have means to destroy your opponent followers. Like, let's say we are crafting Heaven, we play Guardian Sun, Minion heavy, Amulet heavy, with Bahamut as our top curve. Yeah, we basically play the game, we play Guardian Sun on 2, the Dream is on 3, on 2 you play Beast Colaria. You play a lot of Tiger amulets, you play a lot of Dragon amulets, you play like minion-centric approach. In this deck you don't really want Themis, because it will kill your board, and your board is pretty important to you. So you play Dance of Death instead. And Dance of Death works with Bahamut, right? If your opponent, you play Bahamut, you destroy their board, your opponent restock the board. Will he play more than 2 followers? If he is aggro, on turn 10 he is top decking, so he will not. If he is control, his opponents may be too pricey to play 2 of them. So usually your Bahamut will not be stopped in this way, unless mid-range decks, right? They can easily play 2 5-mana minions. Then you play your Dance of Death, cooldown it, reduce the countdown with any card you want, Hollow Dogma or whatever, and you kill 2 of your opponent minions. So it means your opponent had to play 4 minions to stop the Bahamut if you have the Dance of Death combo. This is very hard to do, guys. I won't lie to you. The Bahamut is almost impossible to stop if you don't just simply Dance of Death him, of course. Like, Dance of Death comes back, but still, 10 mana clear everything, pretty good. 10 mana clear everything and force your opponent response. That's why it's better than Themis, right? Not really better, but more expensive than Themis, because it forces the response. And on turn 10, there is a pretty fair chance that your opponent will not have the Dance of Death, like they used it already on your other minions, because you, again, play the minion-heavy approach with the Guardian Sun deck. That is my example of the deck with Bahamut. That is probably my best shot with Bahamut. Like, I will definitely try out the Guardian Sun deck with Jin the Archiven. Jin is not bad in Guardian Sun deck, and Bahamut definitely fits this deck. Even though it destroys your Guardian Sun, you can still replay it, because you usually play around 2 Guardian Suns, and who cares about your Guardian Sun when you have a 13/13 on the board? So it will also destroy your amulets. Which means if you have like Beast Colaria on board, you play Bahamut, his board dies, you get your Falcon to attack for face, sure, great. And then if he plays minions to stop your Bahamut from attacking by having 2 or more minions on board, you can actually trade for them with minions from your amulets that Bahamut destroyed. So that's why I still think that he is best in heaven, and I don't think I agree with anyone saying different. Like, he is best in heaven. Heaven is the class for Bahamut. Maybe some dragon action with ramp, with ramp mostly, but then again, well, dragon has some removal based on damage, like conflagration. You can clear your opponent board with conflagration after they refill the board after Bahamut, and you know, your Bahamut won't die from his, opposite to Themis. So I guess maybe dragon, but I would really see it in heaven mostly played. Evolution, nothing special, just +2/+2. You will rarely evolve it because it kills all your opponent minions. Only if you have something that you really want to kill from Last Words, like maybe Leech from the Hell's Summoner. That may be a play, but I don't really know. And you probably won't have evolution point on 10 anyway. Alright, General Skull. Let's say, I think it's on the level of the Wolf, so I would say 9 out of 10. But Wolf has better synergy in current meta. Like, Wolf already has its uses in decks, and the Bahamut will have to have the deck built around it. So probably 8.5 out of 10. Let's give it the half, because that's how good this card is. Alright, Crystalia Lily. Forest Craft, 2 mana, 2/2 silver. Pretty good, right? 2 mana, 2/2. Is it? It's actually not. We don't play 2 mana 2/2s in Forest unless they are crazy like the Elf Girl Lisa. Because we want to be spamming the board early to boost our Ancient Elf, and in late game we want to be spamming to boost our Roach. Like, 2 mana card is never better than 2 fairies. It's actually never better. Well, sure, you can say that Barrage doesn't kill 2 mana 2/2, but I can say that Evolution doesn't kill 2 fairies. Evolution kills only 1 fairy. Yeah, so this is a pointless, you know, pointless argument. Yeah. So yeah, let's move to the point, guys. What the card does is enchant 6, transform an enemy follower into a snowman. Snowman is known from Runecraft. It's their strongest unit, as 1 mana 1/1 that usually wins you the games. But is the effect actually good? Read it as +4 mana, transform an enemy follower into a snowman. That's how you have to read the enchants. Is 4 mana, transfer an enemy follower into snowman viable? Compare it with 5 mana removal, because that's how pricey the removal is in this game. 5 mana to get rid of a minion, 4 mana to change it into a snowman. Seems good to me. It really does seem good. The downside, you spend 6 mana, not 4, and you get bonus to 2. The bonus to 2 on turn 6 will not matter. Another downside, you don't really spend 6 mana on a single card in Forest, unless you play pure control deck that may appear in this expansion, because the cards really seem like you wanna be playing control Forest with the Silverbolt Wolf finisher. Alright, and evolution, nothing special. You can evolve it to kill the snowman immediately, but overall the card is pretty simple, pretty effective, I would say. It's another Crystalia to our collection of Tia and Eve, and I would give this card maybe a solid 6 out of 10. It's nothing crazy really. The removal may become something relevant if we have more control on oriented meta, but right now the card would be pretty bad actually. But in the vacuum this card is good, and we don't know how meta will shape after the expansion, so I would rather prefer to shape the cards around, shape the score of cards around the meta that is right now, that I know that will persist, and around the card itself in a vacuum, right? Because I cannot predict the future. Right, that is our Lily, and our, I believe, last card is the Thief. Simple as that, it's just a Thief. Clash, draw a card. What is Clash? Clash is a new mechanic that activates whenever the minion attacks or is attacked. So basically, if you evolve the Thief, you get guaranteed one draw, and then if they trade into it, they don't use spell but trade into it, you get another draw guaranteed. Is 3 mana 2/2 that guarantees you one draw good? Let's say you played on 3, not many spells can deal with it, mostly it will be killed by minions, so it's 3 mana 2/2 draw a card. It's evolve, say, draw additional card. Is that good? Maybe. It heavily depends, because 2 mana 1/2, our Skull Cradle Widow, is being played, right? 2 mana 1/2 draw a card from Last Words. But it's a bit different from a Thief, because the Skull Cradle Widow Last Words are actually guaranteed. She will die sooner or later, unless gets banished, but you can't really play around banish, it's a single class. Some of Runecraft played, but it's mostly just Heaven. And it's mostly just Priest of the Casual, sometimes Blackened Scripture. Thief will get shut down, the draw will get shut down by any damaging spell or any killing spell. So on 3, most of these spells will be Blackened Scripture and Blazing Breaths. Maybe also like Whole Soul Swing, Sylvan Justice, Vampiric Kiss. You see, there is a lot of spells that deal 2 damage with additional effect, and you want to cast it on the 3-drop if possible. So that's the biggest weakness of Thief. However, if you hold the Thief to turn 4 and evolve it over something, well, this is strictly better, but you still have to have a target that you can evolve over. If you just evolve it as a 3 mana 4/4 rush that will rush into a single minion and die and draw you one card, I don't think it's good enough. You could have gotten a 4/5 out of this deal that would live as a 4/1. Let's say we are attacking the Tiger, right? Tiger is a good example. Tiger is a very good example of a card. You see a lot of Tigers. Yeah, so the minion will die, the Thief will die. And as I said, it dies to all the 2 damage pings and spells. So overall, I say the card is too vulnerable to removal that exists already in the game, and that will probably be still used in the after expansion patches. So I wouldn't give crazy score to the Thief, but maybe as an arena card. Like in arena you don't draft that many spells, they are usually rarer than bronze. Or you don't really want them because spells don't give you that much value. The spells give you 1/1. Usually you draft minion over spell. So I guess I would give the Thief 5 out of 10 as a very good potential card that may see some support. Like if we have Clash that activates when you attack, maybe we'll see something that will allow your units to attack 2 times, like Hydra. Maybe we'll get a commander that lets your officer attack 2 times. And it's funny how Thief is an officer, but yeah, we are not sure how the military works in the Shadowverse universe. Yeah, that covers all the videos, guys, all the cards, that is. We'll have more videos about our cards evaluation. Expect to see them as soon as we have officially released. I will wait to officially release. There are probably some rumors about next cards already, but I will wait to officially release because that's when we know the cards will probably stay this way. Like, we had Mastima revealed way before the official release, but she was actually revealed without Bane, and on the official release they gave her Bane. They decided she needs a Bane to be the ultimate taunt killer. Yeah, and we'll make the video as soon as any other news appear. Also, if you want to check out my second series, so our deck building series, we will also have episode coming very soon. I'm actually kind of behind the schedule, but the series gets actually support, so we'll definitely continue it. And hope you enjoyed this guide. I will now get the hell out of here. Hope you enjoyed the video. Check out my Twitch channel, you can find the link down in the description. If you have any further question, it would be best to address me there. Peace out.